I want to share a story that begins with a dream and quickly turns into a nightmare, yet ultimately blossoms into a beacon of hope and change. The story of Savannah Reed powerfully illustrates the impact of racial bias and systemic issues in law enforcement. Her joy in acquiring a new car was shattered by a false arrest and interrogation, highlighting the invisible wounds of racial profiling. This experience underscored the historical burden of suspicion often placed on black individuals. The incident stemmed from a biased anonymous tip, revealing how prejudice can weaponize the justice system. However, Savannah's resilience, supported by her family and attorney Lena Thorne, transformed her trauma into a catalyst for significant change within the Fulton County Police Department. The subsequent mandated training and revised procedures demonstrated the potential for systemic reform. Savannah's courage, turning her pain into purpose by sharing her story, became a beacon for others, paving the way for a more equitable future. Her journey is a compelling call to continue fighting for dignity and equality for all. Let's get started. Though it was supposed to be a dream come true, the intoxicating scent of new car leather, the quiet purr of a finely tuned engine, a tangible symbol of hard work and upward mobility. For Savannah Reed, this isn't just another car. It's the culmination of years of relentless effort, a testament to dreams painstakingly built. But for some, especially in certain communities, even the purest joy can be twisted into a nightmare, an echo of a past that refuses to stay buried. That hum of the engine, it can quickly be drowned out by the piercing shriek of a siren, a sound that can plunge you into a reality you never anticipate. Meet Savannah Reed. At just 21 years old, she's already a force to be reckoned with. A recent proud graduate of Howard University, a place steeped in history and excellence, she's now a rising star in a fast-paced tech startup right here in Atlanta. Savannah isn't just smart. She's got that rare blend of sharp intellect and an unwavering spirit. She worked tirelessly through college, often juggling classes, internships, and even a part-time job to ease the burden on her incredible parents, Pastor Jeremiah and Evelyn, back in Augusta. This car, a sleek, midnight blue sedan that gleamed under the Georgia sun, wasn't a gift from anyone else. It was her first major purchase, a self-reference after years of academic excellence, countless late nights studying, and quietly overcoming personal challenges that no one but she truly knew. This car wasn't just transportation. It was a physical manifestation of her ambition, a rolling monument to every barrier she'd ever broken. It was a statement: I earned this, I belong here, I'm moving forward. On a beautiful sunny Tuesday afternoon, Savannah was cruising down a quiet, tree-lined street in Buckhead, Atlanta. The windows were down just enough to let in the warm breeze, her favorite R&B playlist humming softly. She was on her way to a celebratory dinner with friends, a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. But then, in her rearview mirror, those aggressive, piercing blue and red lights exploded into view. Her heart did a tiny, anxious flutter. Confused, she glanced at her speedometer. She wasn't speeding. She'd driven this road countless times. Nevertheless, she pulled over smoothly, waiting for the officer to approach. And that's when Officer Davies walked up to her window. He wasn't just polite, he was curt, his posture stiff, his eyes scanning her car with an unsettling intensity. "License and registration, please," he demanded, his tone sharp. Then came the chilling words: "We've received a report of a stolen vehicle matching your car's description." Savannah's calm facade nearly cracked. Stolen? Her brand new car? Savannah, though stunned, remained composed. "Officer, there must be a mistake," she began, reaching for her documents. "This car is brand new. I just purchased it last week." She offered her license and registration, explaining the dealership, the date of purchase. She expected a quick verification, a polite apology, and a wave goodbye. Instead, Officer Davies simply took her documents, his expression unchanged, and walked back to his patrol car without another word. The minutes that followed stretched into an eternity, and then he returned. "Step out of the car, ma'am," he commanded, his voice devoid of any warmth. "Why, what's going on?" Savannah asked, a tremor in her voice, a knot tightening in her stomach. "You need to come with me for questioning." And that's when it hit her. This wasn't a misunderstanding, this was something far more sinister. This is where the thread begins to unravel. Often, these miscommunications aren't just clerical errors. They can be fueled by vague descriptions, implicit biases, or even erroneous anonymous tips that are acted upon without proper verification. We'll explore how a system built on trusting the tipster can easily become a weapon against the innocent. Imagine the sudden chill, that moment when you realize your polite, logical explanation is falling on deaf ears, and an authority figure sees you not as an individual, but as a suspect, a stereotype. And as he opened her door, motioning for her to step out, Savannah knew, deep down, that her dream car had just driven her straight into a nightmare. The next sound Savannah heard was the chilling click of handcuffs. Cold steel bit into her wrists, a brutal contrast to the soft leather of her new car's interior. Disbelief warred with a crushing wave of humiliation. Her mind screamed, "This can't be happening. Not to me. I've done nothing wrong." Neighbors and passers-by had already begun to gather, their curious stares like daggers, burning into her every ounce of dignity as Officer Davies, with a dismissive tug, led her away. For many in the black community, this isn't just an isolated incident of police overreach. It's an echo of a deeply ingrained history. From Jim Crow laws to modern-day profiling, the act of unwarranted arrest for black individuals carries a unique historical weight. It's a reminder of a system that has for centuries treated innocence as an anomaly and blackness as inherent suspicion. She was taken to the Fulton County Police Department, a place that felt instantly sterile and suffocating. The flickering fluorescent lights hummed with a monotonous drone, casting a harsh glow on the stale metallic scent of the interrogation room. Two detectives, their faces etched with suspicion, sat across from her. One, Detective Harding, was aggressive, his questions sharp and accusatory. The other, Detective Bell, was deceptively calm, his gaze unnervingly piercing. They implied she was part of a car theft ring, that her story was too neat, too perfect. "Come on, Savannah," Harding scoffed. "A brand new luxury car for a recent grad? That sounds like a story we've heard before." They even subtly hinted at her demographic as being prone to such activities, a chilling whisper of systemic bias that cut deeper than any accusation. A common trap people fall into when dealing with authority is believing that logic and truth will always prevail. But when bias is at play, the truth can be contorted, twisted to fit a preconceived narrative. This is where the power imbalance is most acutely felt, where your reality is dismissed for theirs. Savannah remained steadfast, her voice trembling but clear, reiterating every detail of the purchase, the dealership, the date, even the make of the special floor mats. But their skepticism was a concrete wall, unyielding. Meanwhile, miles away in Augusta, Pastor Jeremiah and Evelyn Reed were frantic. Savannah hadn't answered her phone for hours, an anomaly for their meticulous daughter. Then, the call came. A terse official voice from the police station. Disbelief quickly morphed into chilling dread. They rushed to Atlanta, their hearts pounding with a terrifying rhythm. Abruptly, and when they finally arrived, they were met with bureaucratic stonewalling, a cold refusal to let them see their daughter immediately. Pastor Jeremiah, a man whose voice could command a congregation, now bellowed with a father's primal fury, demanding to see Savannah. Evelyn, though quieter, possessed a fierce, unshakable resolve. After a tense exchange, they were finally allowed into a cold, sterile room. The sight of Savannah, their brilliant, hopeful daughter, sitting there in handcuffs, tears streaming down her face, filled them with a searing mix of anger and profound sadness. "This is outrageous," Pastor Jeremiah roared, his voice echoing in the small room. "Our daughter has done nothing wrong. This car is legally hers." He thrust a thick file onto the table, the car's purchase receipt, the registration in Savannah's name, every single piece of documentation they could find. For many, seeing a parent fiercely defend their child against injustice is a profoundly moving experience. It taps into that primal human need for protection and validation. The battle for Savannah's freedom had just begun, but the fight for her dignity and for countless others like her was far from over. The price of prejudice, the seeds of resistance. Officer Davies and his colleagues reviewed the documents Pastor Jeremiah had provided, their faces shifting from suspicion to a grudging acceptance. It became undeniably clear, Savannah's car was indeed hers. The report of a stolen vehicle, they finally admitted, had been nothing more than a miscommunication. But this mistake is a symptom, not the root cause. The real truth, the insidious twist that would later emerge, was that the initial tip wasn't just a random error. It stemmed from a thinly veiled, anonymous call reporting a dark-colored luxury car driven by a young black woman, a description so vague it was designed to be filtered through pre-existing biases, a deliberate act of prejudice that had been acted upon without proper verification. By propping up in story cops, conspiracy theorists added a new identity to their claim, prompting less provable verification. This incident revealed how deeply embedded such issues are within the very fabric of law enforcement. They released Savannah, but the damage was done. As she walked out of that station, the sunlight felt harsh, the world outside a blur. There was no grand apology, no heartfelt remorse, just a curt dismissal. The emotional scars ran deep. On the quiet drive home, Savannah was silent, the usual chatter replaced by a heavy quiet. Her parents tried to comfort her, but words felt hollow. She struggled with anxiety and a profound mistrust towards law enforcement. The car, once a gleaming symbol of her achievement, now felt tainted, a metallic reminder of her humiliation. Imagine it like a physical wound that appears to heal on the surface, but leaves a deep scar underneath. The invisible wounds of racial profiling often take far longer to mend, impacting mental health, trust in institutions, and even future life choices. Karen, holding her daughter tightly, said, "We're going to make sure this never happens to anyone else." This wasn't just about Savannah. It was about every black person who had faced similar injustice. They knew in their hearts that silence was not an option. This was the moment where personal pain transformed into collective action, where the fight for one became the fight for many. Over the next few weeks, the Thompson family, now the Reed family in our story, sought legal counsel, reaching out to Miss Lena Thorne, a renowned civil rights attorney in Atlanta known for her tenacity and commitment to social justice. They decided to file a lawsuit against the police department for false arrest, racial profiling, and emotional distress. The news quickly spread, garnering widespread media attention. The incident sparked a heated debate about racial profiling and police misconduct, turning Savannah's personal ordeal into a national headline. Protests were organized, demanding accountability and justice. The community rallied around Savannah, supporting her and condemning the actions of the police. The story became a national headline, highlighting the systemic issues within law enforcement. The police department, under intense scrutiny, launched an internal investigation. Initial public statements from the police department tried to downplay the incident, calling it an unfortunate oversight, further fueling public outrage and solidifying the community's resolve to fight for genuine change. The crucible of justice, the dawn of change. The following months were a whirlwind, culminating in the tense atmosphere of the courtroom. The air was thick with anticipation, the gallery packed with community members, activists, and media. Savannah, with the unwavering support of her family and legal team led by Ms. Lena Thorne, sat composed yet determined. Her testimony was the heart of the trial. She spoke with a quiet strength, recounting every humiliating detail of her experience, from the abrupt stop to the cold click of the handcuffs, the disbelieving interrogation, and the lingering fear that still clung to her. She wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for countless others whose voices had been silenced, whose dignity had been trampled. Her voice, though sometimes trembling, never wavered in its resolve to expose the truth. Officer Davies, on the stand, was defensive, his answers clipped and evasive. Ms. Thorne, with surgical precision, dissected his actions, exposing the procedural failures and the implicit biases that had clearly clouded his judgment. The police department's legal team tried to portray the incident as an isolated misunderstanding, a simple error in communication. But Ms. Thorne laid bare the systemic issues, the unchecked assumptions that allowed an innocent young black woman to be treated as a criminal based on nothing more than the color of her skin and the car she drove. The legal system, while flawed, can sometimes be a powerful arena for truth and accountability, but it requires immense courage, financial resources, and unwavering resolve from those seeking justice. It's a reminder that true change is often a marathon, not a sprint. After weeks of testimony, the jury returned with its verdict. The court ruled unequivocally in favor of Savannah. The judgment wasn't just about financial compensation, though a substantial settlement was awarded. More importantly, the ruling mandated profound, systemic changes within the Fulton County Police Department. This included mandatory in-depth training on racial sensitivity, de-escalation techniques, and revised arrest procedures that emphasized evidence-based decision-making over suspicion. Officer Davies, facing disciplinary action, was required to undergo extensive training and counseling. This wasn't a punishment meant to destroy a career, but an attempt to correct a profound error, to mend a broken trust. Justice isn't just about winning a lawsuit. It's about forcing systemic change, about dismantling the very structures that perpetuate inequality. This outcome is a testament to the power of persistent advocacy. The ripple effect was immediate and far-reaching. The case became a national headline, a catalyst for broader conversations about racial profiling and police misconduct across the country. Other police departments began to scrutinize their own policies, prompted by the public outcry and the legal precedents set by Savannah's victory. Discussions about reform intensified, fueling a national movement for accountability and dignity. The department, under intense scrutiny, launched an internal investigation. Savannah's courage had not only secured her own justice, but had lit a beacon for others. paving the way for a dawn of change that promised a more equitable future. Beyond the horizon, resilience, purpose, and a new dawn. The journey to healing was long and arduous for Savannah. She struggled with anxiety and a deep mistrust towards law enforcement. The echoes of that dreadful day in Buckhead lingered, manifesting in jumpiness at flashing lights and a quiet withdrawal from crowds. But with the unwavering support of her family and community, she gradually began to rebuild her confidence. Her parents, Pastor Jeremiah and Evelyn, never left her side, encouraging her to speak with therapists and reminding her of her inherent strength. She found solace in channeling her pain into purpose, slowly starting to share her story in smaller, intimate gatherings, finding strength in the shared experiences of others. That sleek, midnight blue sedan, once a symbol of her trauma, slowly transformed back into a symbol of her strength and perseverance. She began to take it out for drives again, not with fear, but with a quiet sense of triumph, reclaiming her space on the road. Her journey reminds us that true strength isn't about avoiding pain, but about transforming it into purpose, about using your own scars to light the way for others. The Fulton County Police Department began to change too. New protocols were established to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. Officers were trained to handle situations with more care and respect, ensuring that citizens' rights were protected. Officer Davies, who had initially dismissed Alexis's pleas, Savannah's in our story, reflected on his actions and felt a deep sense of regret. He'd let his biases cloud his judgment and caused unnecessary pain to an innocent young woman. As part of the settlement, he was required to undergo extensive training and counseling. The incident also led to broader changes within the police department. This story isn't just about a single incident. It's about the profound impact one person's courage can have on an entire system, paving the way for a more just and equitable future. 3 years later, Savannah stood on a brightly lit stage not just at her university's graduation, but as the keynote speaker at a major national civil rights conference. She had persevered through adversity and emerged stronger and more determined. As she delivered her powerful address, her voice resonated with conviction and a newfound clarity. We must continue to fight for a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their race or background, Savannah declared. Our experiences shape us, but they do not define us. We have the power to create change and build a better future for all. Her words hung in the air, a testament to her incredible journey. The audience erupted in applause, inspired by her resilience and unwavering hope. Among the crowd, her parents, Pastor Jeremiah and Evelyn, beamed with pride, knowing that their daughter had not only overcome a great injustice, but had also become a beacon of hope and inspiration for others. The incident that had once shattered Savannah's world became a catalyst for change, both within her community and beyond. It was a reminder that even in the face of adversity, courage and determination could lead to a brighter, more just future. Savannah Reed's story is a powerful reminder that while the road to justice is often long and arduous, the fight is always worth it. It's a call to look beyond the surface, to question, to advocate, and to never stop believing in a future where dignity and equality are not privileges, but fundamental rights for all. Her voice, our voices, are the true engines of change. If this story touched your heart, give us a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to our channel for more tales of triumph and resilience. What part of Savannah's journey resonated most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below.